Hello everyone. In today's class, I'm going to explain about variable. So let's see the meaning of the word variable. The origin of the word variable is from Latin, that is vary, and in English it is vary. And the meaning of the word vary is what? Different in size or amount or nature. And another meaning of the word vary is change from one form to another. So let's see over here. Let's say in maths, I have x is equal to 3 and find the value of 2x. Therefore, the value of 2x over here, it will be what? 2 into 3. That means this symbol x or the value 3 is being represented by the symbol x. Therefore, this expression I can write as 2 into 3. Substitute the value of x by 3. Therefore, 2x is equal to 6. So, from here we understand that this value 3 is being represented by the symbol x. Therefore, x over here is a variable. And the second example over here I give, the first value is 3 and the sum of two numbers is equal to 12. So find the second value. So in this case, what we used to do, we mention let x be the second value, and then our expression will become 3, which is the first value, plus x, which is the second value, is equal to 12. So over here, this symbol x I assume as the second number. So in calculation, we have what? X is equal to 12 minus 3. That means the first number I carry to the right side. And the value of x is equal to 9. That means the second value, the second value is 9. Therefore, over here in these two examples, we understand that the value 3 is being represented by the symbol x. Therefore, x over here is a variable. And in the second example, we assume that the second value is nothing but x. Again, back over here, this x is a variable. Therefore, in mathematics and computer science, the meaning of variable is what? A name or a symbol that represent or may assume any given value or set of values. So now we can define variable can be defined as the name or symbol given to a memory location in computer so that value can be stored, and variable is the basic unit of storage in program. Remember, in computer science, variable is the name or the symbols that we give to the memory location, and in that memory location we can store the value, and therefore variable is known as the basic unit of storage in a program. So now let's see how to declare a variable in C. To declare a variable in C, first we need to mention the data type. Remember, before giving the name of the variable, first we have to give the data type. After that, it will be followed by the name of the variable. So the syntax or the formula for this, that is to declare the variable in C, is what? Data type followed by the name of the variable. For example, over here, suppose I want to input the value 66. So how I will input this value, how I will store this value in computer? We have to declare a variable that can hold this value 66. Therefore, first and foremost, we have to use what? The data type followed by the name of the variable. Example over here, I'm using the keyword in. Int is the data type which will store the integer value or the space in the computer memory. That is, the moment you mention int, it will store or it will allocate the space in the memory, that is 16 bits or 2 bytes. And after that I mention a, and this a is the name of the variable, since we know variable is the name that we provide to the memory location in the computer. Therefore, this 2 bytes memory, the name will be a. So whenever we declare a variable, first we have to mention the data type followed by the name of the variable, and you can assign the value as well, or in this location you can mention that I'm going to input the value 66. Therefore, in this statement or in this declaration, first and foremost what it will do, this data type in, it will reserve or it will allocate the memory space in the computer 2 byte, and the name of this space will be a. And then this value 66, like I mentioned in the previous class, the value will get converted to machine language or binary numbers. Therefore, the binary values of 66 is what? 100010. Now the question over here, what is this 0 in front of these digits? This 0 in front, it indicates that this 66 is a positive value. That means 0 over here indicate the sign of a number. If it is 0, that means the value is positive. If it is 1, the value is negative. Okay, let's see the next example. Suppose you want to input the value 1.5, and over here let's say you declare int a. You want to input the value 1.5 in the variable a. This is a wrong declaration. Why? Because int, it accepts only integer value, not decimal value or decimal number. Therefore, instead of declaring int a to take the input value 1.5, we have to declare how? Float, because float data type, it accepts the decimal number, and followed by the name of the variable, and the name of the variable is a. So over here float can store the decimal number, and the moment you declare float as a data type, it will reserve no longer 16 bits, but it will store 32 bits, or it will reserve the space in the memory 32 bits or 4 bytes, and the name of this memory location is known as a. Now over here you understand, whenever you want to input the integer value or the value without a decimal point, you can use the data type in. But if you have to input or take the decimal value, that time instead of in, you have to use float. Then next over here, when we talk about the name of the variable, it is not compulsory that the name should be a all the time, but you can also use any meaningful name. For example, over here I give float no1. So over here the data type is float, and the name of the variable is no longer a, but it is no1. Or else you can also mention float abc. Abc is the name of the variable. And just like the first example, you can also assign the value. That means float abc is equal to 1.5. That means in this location abc, you are going to input the value 1.5. Now let's talk about the memory. Over here I mentioned Over here, I mentioned that the moment you use float, it will reserve or allocate 32 bits in the memory. So out of this 32 bits, the memory get divided into 3. The first bit or the first bit over here, we store for the sign. That means whether this value is positive or negative. If it is positive, in the first bit, it will be indicated by 0. But if it is negative, we will indicate by 1. Then after that, left the second part. The second part, it will take out of 32, the second part, it will take 8 bits. And this 8 bit, it will store the exponent value or the number before the decimal point. Example over here, 1.5. The number before the decimal point is 1. So when you convert this one to binary number, that value will get stored in this 8 bits. Then next, the third portion is what? The left bits, that is 23 bits. It will store the mantissa or the number after the decimal point. That means this number 5, which is a number after the decimal point, it will get stored in the rest or the third portion out of the 32 bits. So this 0.5 will get stored in the 23 bits. Okay, and remember the range of the float is what? 1.5 into 10 to the power minus 45. It will go on till 3.4 into 10 to the power 32. Okay, now over here, let's say you want to input a bigger decimal value. Example 123.456. This value, instead of declaring float, I can declare as double because the number, it contains more digits. So whenever you mention double over here is the data type and D over here is the name of the variable. The moment you declare double D, it will take how much? 64 bits in the computer memory, and the name of this memory location will be D. Just like float, same thing with double. The first location over here or the first bit over here, it will store the sign. That is to indicate whether this value is a positive or negative value. If it is a positive value, the first bit will be 0. If it is negative value, the first bit will be 1. Then next, the rest of the bits again get divided into 2. The second portion, that is 11 bits. This 11 bits will get stored for the exponent or the value before the decimal point. And the rest or the third portion, that is 52 bits, it will store for the mantissa or the value after the decimal point. Therefore, whenever you declare a variable in your program, you have to think nicely what type of program you are going to do and what type of variable you are going to declare, whether you require integer or float or double or char. Yes, I mentioned about char. So now the question, how we will declare a character variable. For example, over here you want to input the character A or capital letter A. So what happened? To store this character, I'm using the keyword char. And this keyword char or the data type char, it will reserve or allocate the memory with 8 bits or 1 bytes. And this variable C is the name of this location or 1 byte location. Just like in the previous class, I've mentioned to you about all the character need to be encoded with ASCII. So over here, we understand that this A need to be converted to ASCII code, and the ASCII value of A is 65. Now this 65 will get converted to binary number, and that value is what? 1000001. So in this location, it will not store the value of A, but it will store what? The binary value of A. And sometimes instead of storing a single value, we are going to store multiple character in the variable C. For example, I want to store 3 letters instead of single letter A. I'm going to store 3 letters or 3 characters, C-O-M. So how I will declare? Over here I declare car C. This car over here, it will reserve only 1 byte. But over here, because I'm going to input 3 characters, therefore the declaration will be what? Car followed by the name of the variable, that is C, and the size. Since I'm going to input 3 character, therefore I mention over here 3. So how it will be in the computer memory? The moment you declare car C3, it will take 3 bytes. That is, in the first location will be 0, okay, 1 byte, 2 byte, 3 byte, and the last one, the computer assigned by itself the null value. So over here, this C, when you store in this location, it will take 8 bits. O, it will take 8 bits. M, it will take 8 bits, and so on. So from here, you understand how to declare a variable in your C program. So let's see, and please remember these 2 points. The value stored in the variable can be changed during program execution. Again, back I'll mention the value that you store in the variable can be changed during program execution. What is the meaning of this? Suppose when you run the program for the first time, you mention int A. That means integer data you are going to input in the location or in the variable A. When you run for the first time or you execute for the first time, you mention that the value of A is 5. But the same program, when you run for the second time or you execute for the second time, it is not compulsory that the value will be the same, 5, but it can be change. So the second time when I run, I can input 15 or 100 or whatever integer value that I want to input. Therefore, the value that you store in the variable can be changed. And the second point that you need to remember is what? A variable is only a name that we give to the memory location, but all the operation, calculation done on that variable will affect the memory location. Let's say over here in this example, you mentioned that you have a variable integer, variable A, and the value is 3. So over here, the moment you declare this statement in your program, it will take 16 bits or 2 bytes in the memory, and the name of this location is A. So next, suppose if you print the value of A, over here it will print what? 3. That means the value that you store in A is 3. The next over here, suppose in the next line, you mention that this A, you want to increase it by 1, or A is equal to A plus 1. When you print out this A, it will not print AA or the name of the variable change, but it will print 4. Why? Because the name of the variable will not change, but the variable inside the variable will change. Okay, let's understand nicely about this portion. Suppose you type a program in C, int a is equal to 3. The moment you type, you need to compile your program. So when you compile, what happened? This int, it will reserve or allocate the memory 16 bits in the computer, and the name of this location is A. And now this value 3, when you convert it to binary, is 1 1. So this value 1 1 binary value will get stored in this memory or in this location A. Next, after that, you mention that A is equal to A plus 1. What is the meaning of this? When it get compiled, that means in this location A, you want to increase it by 1. And the binary value of 1 is 1. That means this value, binary value of 3, 0, 1, 1, will get add with the binary value of 1, that is 1. How we add or how arithmetic addition is performed, that is 1 plus 1 is equal to 1 0. I carry 1 and I write 0. And then next again 1 plus with the carry over 1, it will be 1 0. So I carry 1 and I wrote over here 0. And 0 plus with the carry over 1, it will be 1. So the output over here we are getting 1 0 0, and this binary value 1 0 0, when you convert it to decimal value, it will be 4. So this value 4, now it will get stored in the location A. Instead of 1 1, now the value in this location it changed to 1 0 0. So when you run your program, you will see the output. That means the compiler translate again this binary code to C program code, and the output that you will get, it will be 4. So I hope you understand now. So over here I want to mention, whenever you give the name for your variable, okay, you cannot simply give whatever name that you want. There are certain rules that we need to follow. So let's discuss the rules for naming the variable. Okay, the rules for naming the variable. Remember, whenever we give the name for the variable, we have to remember these rules. The first rule is what? That the variable name can be created or constructed using alphabets. That is both capital letters and small letters. You can use numbers as well, but no special character except the underscore. Not a minus sign, but the underscore. So example, we can give the name of the variable as ABC, NO1. Over here ABC is the alphabet, NO1 is alphanumeric, that means alphabet along with the numeric value. Or you can give NO underscore 1, that is alpha numeric and the symbol underscore. But in case if you mention NO full stop 1, this is illegal way of naming your variable. Why? Because you are using over here the special character full stop or dot. This is not allowed, because the first rule it mentioned that no special character except underscore. The second one, let's say you mention ABC colon 1. Again, this is not accepted. It is illegal way of naming your variable, because you are using the special symbol colon. Okay, so let's see the second rule. Okay, in the second rule, it mentioned that variable name must begin with alphabet or the underscore, but not with number. So example, if you mention int ABC. The name of the variable here is ABC. It is correct. Why? Because the name of my variable is start from the alphabet. The second example I mentioned underscore ABC. Again, this name it is legal. Why? Because I use underscore. Underscore can be the first character for the name of the variable. But in the next one, I mentioned 1ABC. This is totally wrong. You cannot give this name for your variable. It is illegal. Why? Because it starts with a number. The name of the variable must begin only with alphabet or underscore, but not with number. So let's see over here the third rule. In the third rule, we have variable name should not have any blank space. For example, over here I mentioned int first number. I wrote how the name first, then I leave space and then number. Again, this is the wrong way of declaring or giving the name for your variable. Blank space over here is not allowed. Instead of this, you can mention first underscore number. There is no blank space because I'm using underscore. Otherwise, you can mention NO1. It starts with a letter or it starts with alphabet and there is no special character and there is no blank space. So this name it is allowed or it is legal. Next, we have the fourth rule, that is keywords cannot use as a variable name. We have, like I mentioned in the previous class, we have 32 keywords in C. So what happened? Suppose you mention the variable name is if. This is not allowed because if is a keyword. Or you mention in auto. Auto again it is not allowed because auto is a keyword. Or you mention break. Again, break it is not allowed because break is the keyword. So it cannot be the name of the variable. So instead of using keywords, you can give any name. For example, over here I give the name of my variable is XYZ. XYZ is not a keyword. Therefore, it is allowed to give the name of your variable. And last but not the least, we have the last rule, that is variable are case sensitive. So what is the meaning of this? Whenever you declare a variable in lowercase, the whole entire program when you use that variable should be in lowercase. If you declare the name of your variable in uppercase like A, B, C, this name should be in the whole entire program. For example, to understand this one better, let me show example. In my program, I want to add two value. Therefore, I declare that I have two variable. My first variable is A, it take the value 2. My second variable is B, it take the value 1. And I want to add the value of A and B. Therefore, I declare another third variable to put that sum. Then what I did, in my variable sum, I calculate the value A plus B. You will see over here, instead of writing small letter, I'm using capital letter B. Since variable name is case sensitive, this expression over here is wrong. It will give you error. Therefore, you have to correct it. That is, when you declare a variable name in small letter, this variable name over here should be in small letter. It will be what? A plus B. Okay. Next, suppose if you want to print out, okay, you want to print out the value in the variable sum. You mention prints out sum. Over here, when I declare the name of the variable is in lowercase, all or small letter SUM. When I calculate, again back the name is in small letter SUM. But when I print out, the name S or the character S, it changed to capital S. Again, it will not display the output because there is no name in the computer memory. Therefore, it will give you error. So you have to correct it. The name, what you declare, small letter, you calculate in small letter. Therefore, when you print out, should be the same, small letter SUM. Then last but not the least, before I'll conclude this explanation, remember, whenever you give the name for your variable, the name should be meaningful. Okay, hope all of you understand, my dear children.